No need for a donor card when your electronics die. Electronic Recyclers in Fresno, California leaves computers, televisions, and cell phones no choice but to shed their reusable parts. I wouldn't consider it the most diplomatic way of handling an old monitor or an old cell phone, but it gets the job done.
They all come here as a whole product, and we break them down into their commodity components, into glass, metals, and plastics. And then those are reused, those commodities are reused all around the world, and they go into new products.
The National Centers for Recycling counts more than 500 electronics recycling firms in the United States. But so far, companies are finding it's not a sustainable business without state and federal subsidies. Cathode ray tubes, for example, are not typically cost-effective to recycle because they contain 5 to 7 pounds of lead used to shield users from radiation. They have to be carefully dismantled. At electronic recyclers, for example, workers must first tear monitors apart by hand to separate the CRTs. They can do about 30 an hour. The CRTs are then placed on this conveyor belt and crushed in a hermetically sealed OSHA-approved system. And the crushed glass is hand-sorted.
Mainly where we send the glass here, it's reused into CRT products. They go ahead and remanufacture CRTs. But there's a lot of lead smelters that like the lead glass, and they smelt it down, retract the lead, and they'll use it for bulletproof vests.
For electronic recycling companies in California, the CRT recycling process is worth it, as the state offers a 48-cent subsidy per pound of CRT material. But that's not really where they make their money. Profits are made from salvageable electronics that are refurbished and resold, including arcade games. Recyclers get the most value from recycling cell phone and desktop computer parts once they're shredded to protect personal information.
We categorize the different items that come out of the computer depending if we could remarket it for reselling or if for the gold content inside. For an example, we have the old Sims memory. Doesn't have no reuse value. So what we do is we separate for the gold and the silver. So this will get down and get smelted down for the gold and the silver. Some facilities, they also take out these older chips and they'll reprogram them and put them like into the new DVD players and stuff. So depending on where we're sending them at, they're either going to desolder these, take them out, reprogram and smelt it down for gold, or they'll just smelt down the whole unit.
Electronic Recyclers handles between 5 million and 7 million pounds of electronic materials a month.
The only thing that we cannot reuse out of all these products is the pressed wood that comes off of, like, say, grandma's old television set. That's the only thing that we have the most trouble finding a second life for. Most of the time, that probably ends up in a landfill, but that's less than 1% of all of our materials that comes in here.
If electronics are disposed of inappropriately, toxins such as lead and beryllium can end up in landfills, lakes, and rivers. Some old items from other electronics recycling companies have been dumped illegally in third world countries where children are co-opted to retrieve valuable parts.
What I've seen with my own eyes is 8, 9, and 10-year-olds are brought into the process to harvest the precious metals. And what they do, because they don't have the right tools to tear the things apart, is they burn the plastic carcass on the outside, which destroys the environment in terms of the air. And then they get to the metal by burning the plastic carcass on the outside. So you have human rights violations and also environmental harms that are done.
Shegarian claims his company not only saves the environment, but it also saves lives.
Nothing stops a bullet faster than a job. And by having a job and having a place to stay is a great thing. And we not only lead the nation in recycling electronics here, but we have over 50 people who have needed a second chance that work for us. So we also lead the nation in recycling lives here.
Some people die out in the streets. They never know what it feels like to work a job and have an honest living to make an income for their families. So when you get that opportunity, that second chance opportunity, then they give you that self-confidence. And so you're able to reestablish yourself in the community and society and prove to people that you can be a better person.
Electronic Recyclers is green to the core, even how they do business, clear down to the size of their business cards.
All of our salespeople drive hybrids. All of our lighting is energy efficient. All of our forklifts are electric. They're not gas operated.
In Fresno, California, I'm Kym McNicholas on the Forbes.com Video Network.